Hey, I didn't see you there. Do you want to learn how to install a super cool swivel seat in your van too? Well then be sure to keep watching.
Alright guys, let's get started here. So I ordered my bracket from sprinterswivel.com. Despite the name, this bracket fits the Transit, Promaster, and Sprinter vans. So if you guys are looking for something to fit either of those vans, be sure to keep watching. If not, it may also fit your van, but I'm not 100% sure. So allegedly this bracket is the only swivel seat bracket to be tested by the US Department of Transportation. The bracket feels real heavy duty. It comes with some hardware, some bolts, nuts, and washers. For those who are new to the channel, I'm installing this bracket in a 2020 Ram Promaster, and there are just 6 different locations that we need to attach the actual bracket to, and I'm showing you all of those right now. You may or may not have to slide your seat forward or backward to access some of these. If you guys are also installing your swivel seat in a Ram Promaster, then you're going to need a Torx key to remove those factory seat bolts. I really just used the Torx key to break each of the bolts loose, and then I was able to untwist them the rest of the way with my fingers, even being down one busted finger. I did encounter a slight problem with one of my 6 bolts, in that it had been stripped out, and so my Torx just couldn't get a grip on it. So what I ultimately ended up doing was grab my vice grip, or my locking pliers as you may know them. I gave it a couple little half twists with those, and it was able to get loose enough where I could remove it the rest of the way with my Torx wrench. Here's just a little side by side, me showing you the stripped out bolt on the left versus the healthy bolt on the right. So once we get all the bolts out, we just have to go underneath the seat. I had to cut a zip tie that was holding my airbag cables in place, and there should be 3 cables. Again, if you have a Promaster, that need to be unclipped. Pretty straightforward here, just disconnect orange from orange, yellow from yellow, and then the last one is kind of plugged into the side of the seat there. Once we get all the wires unplugged and the bolts are all undone, we are free to go ahead and move the seat out of the way so we can get to placing our swivel bracket. Just like I mentioned at the start, this is a universal bracket, so it has holes in there for the Transit, the Promaster, or the Sprinter. Right here, I'm just pointing out the holes that I needed to use for my Promaster. If you guys want a resource right here, this is a color-coded diagram that shows which holes correspond with which van you may have. And since I had the stripped out head on one of my bolts, I ordered some bolts to replace it with, and these are of course rated at a 12.9, which is pretty much the highest strength rating I think a bolt can have. Just in the event of an accident or something, I want something secure. So now we're going to take those 6 bolts that we just removed. We're going to grab 6 washers from the hardware bag that came in our swivel seat box. You're going to add washers and thread those right back through the bracket into the spot that you previously removed them from. Be sure that when you're doing this, you loosely thread all the bolts into place. Don't tighten everything down until you have all 6 bolts placed, because you really don't want to tighten something down only to realize that you have to loosen it to kind of move the bracket to get another bolt to fit in its necessary spot. So put all 6 in loosely and then we'll tighten. And before I tightened anything in place, I really just wanted to do a quick spin, a quick test run of the swivel seat and make sure it would indeed spin in place. It wasn't hitting anything, and it looked like it was going smoothly for me so far. Also, real quick, if you guys are finding this video helpful at all, if you could do me a favor and just take 2 seconds to hit that like button or leave a comment or maybe even subscribe, it helps me out a ton and I'm super grateful. Thank you. So now we're just going to tighten all those bolts down with our Torx driver, or again, whatever you used for your specific van. And I found it helpful to kind of move the swivel around. It allowed me to get more clearance and a little bit better leverage on getting these bolts really tight. So don't be afraid of doing that yourself. Once the swivel bracket is safely secured back to the seat base, we are going to throw the seat right back on top of said bracket. And we are on the home stretch, boys and girls. And here you may be able to see me struggling a bit with the seat. Keep in mind these things are not very light and actually quite heavy, and I'm working with only 9 fingers. Need I remind you, one of them is broken. And here's just a little close up on the lock nut that is provided, showing you guys that it does match my finger splint, which is super cool. So now we just need to add a bolt, a washer, and a locking nut to each of the corresponding holes on our bracket, and be sure to reference that color guide if you need to, again, for confirmation that you are putting these in the right place. If you guys are like me, then your seat slider might have gotten messed up when you were removing the seat or putting it back on. If they're uneven, just grab that seat slider handle and be sure to even them out so we can put this thing on and it's not all wonky. Other than that, we're just once again following along with the diagram and threading the bolt with the washer into the locking nut in the 6 locations that we previously removed them from. But this time they're on the top of the bracket and not the bottom. For securing these back in place, I found the easiest method after just twisting them on by hand to grab once again my locking pliers, just put that onto the head of the bolt and then getting a ratchet and ratcheting those things right on there nice and snug. You guys are doing so great. You're literally seconds away from finishing this thing. Kind of the last step really is to thread our wires down through the big hole in the center of our seat bracket, and we are going to connect those. Once again, if you have a ProMaster, it's yellow to yellow, orange to orange, and black to black. This part is an optional step, you don't really have to do it, but I do just like to take the excess wire and kind of zip tie it to the side of the seat frame. I don't want to do too much, I want enough slack in the wires that I can still rotate the seat in a full 360 without putting any unnecessary stress on them, which I show here. The seat does indeed twist around and the wires are just fine. When it comes time to actually adjust the seat, you just have the super handy lever, you push it to the left and the seat can just slide around. You can slide it to the right, you can slide it to the left. It does a full 360 and everything in between. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making it. Hopefully you learned something. If you guys have any questions, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. I love y'all and I will talk to you next time. Bye.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Wait. Let me try it one more time.